Cust's arrest is a great success for you, Poirot. It's all clear now, except maybe one or two details.
Details. Ah, mon ami. The devil is in the detail, as we say.
Excuse me?
Patience, Hastings. Everything will be clear once our guests arrive. Best be prepared. Slip a revolver into your pocket before they do.
A revolver? But Poirot, what are you afraid of?
Trust me. It is important you carry a weapon for this meeting. I will lend you mine.
What about telling me what you have in mind?
Surtout pas. You wouldn't be able to play your role. Wait one moment, I will bring you my weapon.
Vale, voy a mirar esto. Digo yo que está grabado algo nuevo. Efectivamente. Este mueble tiene... Cada vez que abro el mueble hay algo nuevo.
Churston, Devon. Population 500 inhabitants. Hourly of trains. London, Churston. Trains of evening. London, 6:45 p.m. Newton about 11 a.m. Churston, 11:45 a.m. London, 11:45 p.m. Newton about 6:08 a.m. Churston, 7:15 a.m.
¡Ay! Me golpeé. ¿Esto otra vez?
Hastings photo album.
Pues vale. Ahora hablamos con esto. Vamos a mirar si hay algo más por aquí. No puedo ir por aquí. A ver si hay algo nuevo aquí.
Daily Flicker, September the 11th, 1935. ABC affair, Terminus Doncaster. Japp and Poirot arrest the killer. A.B. Cust is the name of the alphabet murderer. The police have arrested him in a hotel in Doncaster. Was preparing to kill his fourth victim, Mr. Dick Dudley Dunbar, the establishment's manager. Mr. Dunbar owes his life to the miraculous intervention of Inspector Japp of Scotland Yard and Detective Hercule Poirot. The Lancet, September 11th, 1935. General Medical Journal. The alphabet murderer is not psychotic, according to Professor Thompson. In an early issue, we claimed that the alphabet murderer was not psychotic. Our assertion has just been confirmed by Professor Thompson, a Scotland Yard expert, who has spoken to the prisoner at great length. Not all obsessional killers are psychotic, he explained. It is true that Cust has a disturbed personality and memory disorders. But his amnesia, whether real or pretended, does not alter the fact that he was perfectly lucid at the time of his acts. Therefore, he will not escape punishment.
Vale. Vamos por la pistola. Que estaba aquí, si no mal recuerdo. Primero el espejo. Estaba aquí.
The white ammunition are blank cartridges. The others are real bullets. I have to choose the type of bullets to load.
Pues yo qué sé. Esto que toma nota cuál va a ser el final, que no sé cuántos finales tiene este juego. Yo pensaba que nada más tenía uno. Esta misma.
The revolver is loaded with real bullets. I still have time to choose blanks. The revolver is loaded with blanks. I still have time to choose real bullets.
No sé cuál elegí. No, no puedo. Espera, no sé.
The white ammunition are blank cartridges. The others are real bullets.
No sé cuál elegí. Es que claro, no sé si esto es que es un final o algo. No lo sé, no creo yo que este personaje muera o algo. Que creo que es la persona que cuenta... No sé qué va a pasar, socorro, tengo miedo.
What about telling me what you have in mind?
Surtout pas. You wouldn't be able to play your role. Wait one moment, I will bring you my weapon.
Esto puede salir muy bien, puede salir muy mal. ¿No puedo leer esta carta? No. Le tengo que dar a este, ¿no?
What about telling me what you have in
¡Bata,
mind?
coño!
Surtout pas. You wouldn't be able to play your role.
Ayuda,
Wait one moment, I will bring you my weapon.
ayuda.
Voila, I entrust you with my weapon. It has hardly been used, it is almost new.
Bueno, pues si luego no puedo ver el final, porque no sé si se puede ver el final, lo vemos por internet. Porque yo no voy a empezar a traer el juego de nuevo. Vamos, ni muerta.
Chief Inspector, is that you?
Yes. Sorry, but we haven't found anything.
Have you checked the typewriter?
And the packaging, the letter, and the ribbon reel. We've only found prints left by Cust and his landlady.
Well, never mind, I shall make do.
So, are you still going to hold your meeting?
Of course, Chief Inspector. I can hear my guest coming up the stairs.
Qué buen oído tiene.
Why have you brought us here, Mr. Poirot?
Since Cust's arrest, I thought it was all done and dusted. Miss Gray formally identified him, as well as Miss Barnard.
Yes, and the stockings he saw drove the same brand as the ones found at my aunt's.
This is all true. However, a case is not closed if some questions remain open. And one question is, why did the murderer send me his letters? Why did he challenge me, Hercule Poirot?
Perhaps he wanted to play with you, to taunt you.
Xenophobia? Maybe he didn't like you because you're foreign.
I may be wrong, but maybe by provoking you he was looking for glory?
Gilipollas no
All
es.
these series should be
Hay
studied.
asesinos que son así.
Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Hay asesinos que prefieren que su caso sean reconocidos. Y lo hacen de esa forma. Sigo con la asesino de dirección. Culpa autorriente. Esto es una edición incorrecta. Esta puede ser. Salvo al asesino. Es complejo. No. Puede ser este, pero a lo mejor este me he equivocado. ¿Qué me iba a decir? No, carta de... Porque no era muy conocida la dirección, creo.
Is everything clear now?
You might like to explain your reasoning again.
Of course. First of all, remember that the murderer made it a rule to always post his letter before the murder. He never digressed from that rule. However, in Churston, he encountered a problem. The village has only 500 inhabitants. With advance warning, it would be easy to arrest him. Therefore, the murderer delayed his letters deliberately with the wrong address. The plan wouldn't have worked if he'd sent it to Scotland Yard or the papers because everybody knows their addresses. The mistake would have been corrected and the letter would have been on time. That is why the murderer chose me as the recipient.
Because for his plan to succeed, it was necessary for at least one of the letters to have a wrong address and get lost. It was very cunning.
Absolument. It is a very subtle plan. It matches the profile we have drawn up of him perfectly. That of an intelligent, daring and calculating murderer.
Calculating.
But that's not how you describe Cust.
No, era
You are quite right,
influenciado,
mademoiselle.
no me recuerdo.
Like you, I find it hard to believe that this dull character is the clever murderer we are looking for.
Do madmen... I mean, if he's mad, he might have two very different sides.
No doubt. But the murderer is not mad. All the specialists agree that he does not have the profile of the psychopath.
But if Cust is not guilty, how do you explain his presence at the scene of the crimes?
Mr. Clark, the answer to your question is in the medical records of your brother's patients. Documents which Cust most certainly did not have access to. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Joder, cara. Será una griseta. ¿Qué sabemos de No. Es influenciable. Ahí. Y era algo de la guerra, ¿no? Si me recuerdo. ¿Este? ¿No? ¿Este? Ay, perdón. Ay, ay, me muero. Ahí. Este.
Dr. Clark's patients' records provided a very useful list of potential victims, sorted by alphabetical order. The killer definitely used it, explaining the fact that all the victims were former patients of the doctor. It is this fact that clears Cust once and for all, because he never had access to these records. So how did he happen to be at the scene of the crimes? Either the murderer sent him there, or Cust was following him closely. Cust's highly suggestible nature leads us to the second hypothesis. The murderer was manipulating him. He systematically sent Cust to the towns where he was going to strike, so that the suspicion would land on the poor man's shoulder.
That's evil. What sort of killer could have such a plan? And what would he gain from three completely different murders?
Indeed, it seems unlikely that the same murderer committed all the crimes. What should we take from that?
Este.
Just one murder was of benefit to the murderer. The others were just diversions. On reflection, there is only one conclusion. The murderer killed once out of interest and twice to divert our attention. This reasoning points at two potential culprits.
Franklin, Clark...
Donald Fraser?
Yes, mademoiselle, that's good thinking. Mr. Fraser may have killed Betty out of jealousy. Mr. Clark may have killed his brother in order to inherit his large fortune. Both have a motive.
But Donald did not have access to Dr. Clark's records.
Please allow me to disagree with you, mademoiselle.
Ay, espera, que se me han enganchado los auriculares. Precisa que Donna fue tratado por el Dr. Clay. Precisa que Donna solía ya casada justo. Trabajó para Clay.
He works for Court and Brunskill, one of whose clients was Sir
Ella era
Carmichael.
mentaipo.
It doesn't prove that I went to Comeside.
You could have done it, and you may have used the opportunity to take a look at Sir Carmichael's records.
Do you think I'm guilty?
You or Mr. Franklin Clark.
That's ridiculous.
Both of you have a motive. The question is, which of you has the profile that most resembles the murderer? Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Hoy la calificación de este juego... Ah, es un hombre inteligente, es astuto. Inteligente. Se muestra seguro de sí mismo. Era mucha Donna Frances. Habría sido un buen marido. Yo por el de la muerte de dudo de mí mismo. Este no. Duda de él mismo, dice. No era seductor. ¿Este? No. ¿Este? Digo que sí, ¿no? Es impulsivo. ¿Este? No. Ay, uy, espérate. ¡Ay! Pues nada. Es este. Me dejaba cogerlo. Es que no es... Este sí, ¿no?
Ladies and gentlemen, Donald may share many character traits with the murderer, but he does not have his cold indifference. He has a temper. It is hard to imagine him planning anything. Also, jealousy is his motive, and crimes of passion are rarely planned.
Right, I suppose it's my turn to be subjected to the same scrutiny.
Absolument, Mr. Clark. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Este. Es seductor. Hostia, espérate, como para leer esto. Yo te lo voy poniendo yo así, eso. Le gustan los trenes. Ahí. Es impulsivo. ¿Este? ¿Este? Generoso. Este.
As you have all seen, there is a disturbing similarity between Mr. Clark's profile and that of the killer. In actual fact, it is exactly the same.
Mr. Poirot, your psychological studies are interesting, but your conclusions do not add up. Why would I have wished my brother's death? The inheritance is lawfully mine. I just have to wait.
No, you had to act quickly.
Decir que Tora Grey suponía un estorbo. Tora Grey era un estorbo.
Because of
Pues
Miss Grey.
se fue.
Mademoiselle, although you haven't been telling the truth, there is no doubt in my mind that you would have found a way to marry Sir Carmichael after Lady Clark's death.
Exacto.
For you, Mr. Clark, it was a disaster. If Miss Grey had children by your brother, you would not have inherited a thing. You realized the danger after reading several letters from Comeside, especially one in which your brother opened his heart to you. So you hurried home from China, and you took action. In truth, Cust was no more than a puppet manipulated by the real culprit. You, Mr. Clark.
Such an imagination, Mr. Poirot. In fact, nobody manipulated Cust. The famous instructions he received by post. He wrote them on the typewriter. We know that for sure.
Oh no. You know perfectly well. That is not true.
O sea,
Eh bien voilà,
fue
light has now been
el que
shed on the
manipuló.
ABC murders.
Your theories are ingenious, but you haven't any proof.
One point to him. For the moment, I have no material proof. Either I admit to it, or I bluff.
Inventa una prueba que ya el estanco de Alice. Decir que serán fácil encontrar pruebas. Sobre la máquina, tal vez.
One thing proves it. The prints you left on Cust's typewriter.
Enough.
Silencio.
Of course you wiped the typewriter before sending it. But not carefully enough. Scotland Yard has found your print along with those of Cust.
Game, set, match. You win, Mr. Poirot. But it was worth trying.
Todo por dinero.
Don't come near me!
Hostias. ¿Qué balas
I'll
tenían
never let you
puestas?
take me,
Las de
Mr.
fogueo,
Poirot.
¿verdad? Las de fogueo, ¿verdad? Las de fogueo. Sí, las de fogueo.
I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, there is no easy death for you. I expected your reaction, so I used blanks. I'm sorry, mademoiselle, but your second chance has been lost. Franklin Clark will never inherit his brother's fortune.
Vaya. Luego vemos el otro final, porque no creo que pueda haber volver a poner las
Disappointed at
balas.
having missed the chance to become Lady Clark, Thora Grey left England.
¿Eso es el
Donald
final?
Fraser and Megan Barnard married.
Madre mía.
On Poirot's recommendation, Mary Drower started to work for Lady Clark. The elderly lady's condition suddenly took a turn for the better. And a few months later, to Dr. Logan's great surprise, she was back on her feet again. According to this eminent physician, it appears to be an extremely rare case of spontaneous remission. Lady Clark has enjoyed very good health ever since.
Bueno, tampoco es que vaya a durar mucho, aunque se ponga en forma.
Journal of an Innocent. The incredible story of ABC. As for A.B. Cust, after being advised by Poirot, he made a great deal of money by selling his
O sea
story
que
to
se está
the
libre,
press.
aunque haya
And as
cometido
for the meal,
asesinato.
and with business booming, the Black Swan has become the #1 tourist attraction in the whole of Yorkshire,
Yo
even more
me perdí en
popular
esta
than
historia,
York
siempre
Minster.
quiero leer estos juegos, tío, con los finales.
Right. He should have paid for his crimes. I should have expected what he did.
Come on, Poirot. Everybody makes mistakes.
Exactly. Hastings, if one day I sound pretentious, please
Se murió,
whisper
pero bien
these
muerto,
3
¿eh?
letters in my ear. ABC. They shall remind me that we all have our limits, even me. He understands that his brother's inheritance is going to be stolen from under his nose. He decides to get rid of him. In order not to be considered as a suspect, he has the idea of including the murder as part of a series that the police will put down to a madman. Franklin uses Sir Carmichael's medical records to choose his victims as well as the ideal suspect, Alexander Bonaparte Cust, who was seriously wounded in the war and suffers from bouts of amnesia. Franklin writes the letters he will send me before each murder on his own typewriter in advance. He contacts Cust by letter and offers him a job. Cust is convinced that he is working for a hosiery company. In reality, it is Franklin that sends him his instructions, his goods, and even his typewriter. When we receive the first letter, Hastings thinks that it is a joke. As for me, filled with foreboding, I prefer to inform Chief Inspector Japp Following his written instructions, Cust goes to Andover. He visits Mrs. Asher's tobacco shop and sells her a pair of stockings. After Cust's visit, Franklin, in turn, enters the tobacco shop. Mrs. Asher is not suspicious of the murderer, whom she takes to be an ordinary customer. The old lady turns around to take a packet of cigarettes. She is beaten to death. We investigate the first murder with Hastings. No suspect has a motive. A few weeks later, we receive a second letter signed ABC. Chief Inspector Japp is informed. The victim's name should start with the letter B. Alexander Bonaparte Cust goes to Bexhill. He sells Mrs. Barnard a pair of stockings. Betty Barnard leaves her work. She's dressed to go out. The young woman is strangled on the beach. Betty was killed by the man who had arranged to meet her that evening, the seducer Franklin Clark. In Bexhill, Donald Fraser appears to be the perfect suspect for Betty's murder, but he has no connection with Mrs. Asher. 5 days after the Bexhill murder, Cust goes to Churston for his work. In the afternoon, Sir Gray turns away a stocking seller. After dinner, Sir Carmichael Clark takes his usual walk. His brother waits for him, hidden behind a bush. The murderer leaps out from his hiding place and cuts Sir Clark's throat. The third letter arrived late. Franklin deliberately wrote a wrong address. In Churston, Thorgray and Franklin Clark are the main suspects. Back in London, Cust is seized by violent coughing fit and brings up blood. He stains his shirt, which later frightens his landlady. We receive the final letter from ABC. The next murder will be in Doncaster. The second general meeting in London highlights the common points between the victims, stockings and a throat condition. Cust's landlady telephones Scotland Yard to tell them about her suspicions. Cust is arrested shortly afterwards in Doncaster. Franklin had planned a fourth murder in Doncaster. He abandons the idea after Cust's arrest. Cust confesses to the crimes he did not commit. He's an easy culprit. Too easy. Franklin Clark is unmasked. He is the true culprit and the man who manipulated Cust. And there we have it. Another case solved by Hercule Poirot.
Ah, bueno, vale, está bien, ha terminado. Puntuación sobre este juego comparado con los otros juegos que he jugado, del 1 al 10, un 2. Un puto 2. Y mucho es. Hala, me voy.